welcome to the sports show with Bob Spino. We are in mid-spring form, Bob. Baseball well underway, basketball inching towards the playoffs, hockey starting the playoffs. Right. And what's going on in the world of sports lately?
Well, in baseball, if you like, everybody having a fair chance to win, this is the best year in a long time. Everybody's just right around 500. St. Louis is like 7 games over. They seem to be the best team. The Mets are actually hot. They've won like 4 or 5 in a row. And but outside of that, even the Yankees are not looking all that great. They really should have lost 2 out of 3. If they had just kept Scherzer in Washington, they would have lost 2 out of 3. They gave him the game. The guy had 14 strikeouts in 8 innings. They decided not to throw him in the 9th. Why? I have no idea. The Yankees were ready to lose. And all of a sudden, Michael Kay goes, "Oh, we're starting to rally in the 10th." Yeah. Or in the 9th. That's because you just took the best pitcher in baseball out. That's the only reason it happened.
Wait, why did they take the best pitcher in baseball out, Bob?
Because they're smart.
Oh, okay.
It's like Mickey Mouse. Why? Because we like you. No, it's ridiculous.
Did he hit an arbitrary number of pitches and had to come out? Is that what happened?
Probably is my guess. Look, I don't care when a guy's going that good, he can have 200 pitches. You just got to leave him in. He only needs 3 more outs.
Aren't hitting, are they?
No, they're really not hitting. I actually think this in the last couple of years, this is the worst Yankee hitting team I've seen. And I have a friend that's like, if I talk to Michael Kay for you, are you going to brag about the Yankees? And I'm like, he doesn't really care about that. He's had Met fans on before, but I mean, he goes, "You didn't say nothing about Stanton." I go, "Stanton is Dave Kingman. When I was a kid, Dave Kingman had 48 homers and batted 100 every year. I used to call him the rally killer. He struck out 200 times a year. And weirdly enough, the Yankees moved him up to second in the lineup. So now he's starting to hit, but true to form, yesterday he comes up. I said, throw the ball in the dirt. They did strike 3, swing and miss. The guy cannot, he's too inconsistent. I love him on the Yanks because I'm not a Yankee fan. I wish everybody was Giancarlo, because he changed his name. Stanton. I wish
Let's go. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What's going on with the Mets?
They're actually starting to pick it up a little. They're starting to hit. They had some kind of argument in the clubhouse about either they saw a raccoon or a rat in the clubhouse, and it made Lindor fight with McNeil, who's one tough guy. And when they both came out, I mean, Lindor got patted on the back by, I think, Dominic Smith, and McNeil got patted in the back by Pete Alonso. And I'll tell you, that has nothing to do with a raccoon or a rat. I think they just had a fight in the darn, locker room, clubhouse, whatever you want to call it.
So the official story is a rodent. The unofficial story is a fight.
Right. They're arguing over a raccoon. Look, I've seen raccoons, believe me, and they're a lot bigger than rats. I can tell you that for a fact. And there's no disputing the two. And the whole thing, they just came out with that they're not getting, something's not right. And they weren't smiling either. So, I mean, Lindor, weirdly enough, came out, hit a home run. Mets won the game. He just ran around the bases, didn't give Crack a smile. He was mad as heck. So, no, that was something else. They can say whatever they want. I don't believe a word of it. Not a word.
Are the Mariners doing anything?
They were supposed to do better than they are. Actually, it's Oakland. But the thing about Oakland is they take off early in the year and then they die. And they did some weird stuff this year. Like, they had a lot of good hitters, and they just traded them before the season started. And it looked like they weren't going to do nothing. And all of a sudden, they traded for a bunch of really good pitchers. So now they got pitchers, but not much hitting, but they're tearing it up right now. I just don't believe in Oakland in the long run. I still think they're going to, maybe because the division stinks, they could win it. It's really bad this year, but I don't know. I don't believe in them. I think the 2 Sox are the best team. See, the White Sox were supposed to dominate. They had a lot of injuries, but now they're starting to pick it up. They're really good. And the Red Sox are taking everybody by surprise. Nobody thought that they would. They're tearing it up.
They were horrible last year, right?
They were. But you know what's funny, though? I believe it was 2013 when they won it. Going into that season, they were favored to finish in last place, and they won the whole thing. And they had one of those years where they just tore. They pulled a Connecticut. Remember how you talk about UConn?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yes, you do.
What? No. Connecticut? Who? Connecticut has a team?
Right.
What team?
Right.
Anyways,
But
baseball, Bob. Come on.
okay. But you know what? They're doing the same type of thing, and again, they're doing it. They're really playing well, and I don't know if they won tonight. It was only 1-0 early against the Orioles, but they may have won. I'm not really sure, but I think they're like 21-14, something like that, and they're starting to pull away because no one's that good. Everybody's around 500.
So there's a lot more to be determined with this baseball season.
Well, there's a lot.
You really can't. No one can make a call right now.
No, there's about 5 more months to go. So, but let me tell you something about that though, Rob. Early in the year, people say it doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does, even when it's a long season. Because at the end of the year, everybody plays the same amount of games at the end of the year, of course, and people start rising to the level that they are. So even if a team is playing really, really over their head, they're going to come down a little, and the team that was good that's not playing as well is going to get really close. Okay, so what you do in the first 2 months of the year means everything. That is so false when people go, "Oh, it's early, it doesn't matter." Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. Because a good example in 1986, the Red Sox won 95 games. Okay, the Yankees, who were up and down all year, only finished 3 games back when the season ended. So they made a move. Even they weren't as good as Boston, but even then they were just good enough. You've got what happens if the Red Sox played, in April, they had a lousy week. The Yankees would have won the darn division. It means a lot. You'd be surprised. So I never believed in that. And it's the same thing like in basketball. Like if you get like a 7 or an 8 game lead, it takes you at least, I figured it out one time. I don't remember the whole stat, but it takes you at least 3 to 4 months to catch the team. Because you got to take into consideration certain nights you're both going to win, certain nights you're both going to lose, certain nights you're going to gain a gain on them, but other nights they're going to get the game back because they're going to win and you're going to lose. So all that kind of nullifies it out. And then it comes down to a certain amount of time, a very short amount of time. It's really, if you get a 10 game lead in the NBA, so it's only 82 games. Well, there's 72 this year, but 82 is a rule. It's almost a lock that team is going to win a division that has a 10 game lead. It takes a lot.
So maybe we need to revisit the idea that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But maybe it's about, hey, how you start will determine how you finish.
Yeah, because there's exceptions because you can tear it up at the end of the year where you weren't playing. The Mets in '69 did that. I think in August and September they lost what was it? They lost less than 10 games in 2 months. They won they were like 31-8 or whatever they were. And that was the only way they could have caught the Cubs, by the way, because the Cubs were really, really good. And the same thing happened with the Yankees in '78. I still think it was fixed to this day that year because the Red Sox were so great. And I remember Warner Wolf was an announcer on CBS. He would go, All-Star break. He would say this. He goes, and the Yankees are 14 games, which means if Boston just played 500, the Yankees would have to win every day for the next 3 months. And that's not happening. Guess what? They caught him on the last day of the year because the Red Sox went into the tank.
So what evidence do you have to support the claim that it was fixed?
A couple things. One, during the All-Star game that year, Bowie Kuhn, who was the commissioner, went to the Pirates and the Phillies and the Red Sox and the Yankees and told the Phillies and the Red Sox to stop winning. It was documented. I was only 18 years old. I had the Star Ledger. I had the article. My sister was a Yankee fan. She tore it up and threw it away. She did. But you know what? It said it in the article that he ordered them because they wanted a close race so everybody would, interest and money and the whole thing, people would come. Do you know, on the last day of the year, the Phillies, who had a 10 game lead, blew it to the Pirates and they tied. They had to play one last game. And same thing with the Red Sox. Oh, so yeah.
I have an interesting personal story about that before you could finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The how it was fixed.
Yeah.
Regarding the last game, that play-in game between the Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah, with Bucky.
So my younger at the time, they were younger. They're older than me. They were young. My brothers and sisters, my mother and their father. They all went to see that game.
In Boston.
Yeah, the last game of the season, right?
Right.
So they went to that game. And they had tickets. Now, if you went to that game, you automatically received tickets to that play-in game.
Okay.
So they all had tickets for that extra playing game, but they couldn't go. They had to leave. Things were going on.
Right.
So my older brother and sister, my sister didn't care. My older brothers were like, "Hey, we can get some cash off this. This is a big deal. Like, let's scalp this thing for something." 1978. Who knows? I mean, they were going for crazy money back then for that playing game. No, my mother refused. No, we're going to sell at face value. So a group of let's see, 5 people got tickets for $2 a piece and paid $10 to go to that playing game.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, my brother still held my mother into account for that, forever.
well, you know what's funny about that too, Rob? That year, Dennis Eckersley was a starter. Okay, he was a starter, and he started on the Indians, and he was on the Red Sox in '78. He was 20-2 that year, and he was 4-0 against the Yankees. He couldn't pitch in that game with the Bucky Dent home run because the day before, the Yankees actually took a 1-game lead on Boston. They jumped in front of them, okay? Boston needed the game, so they had to pitch Eckersley a day early. He won the game. The Indians came to New York with Rick Waits. I've mentioned him before, the little lefty that they could never hit. The Yankees had so much trouble with him. Cleveland came into New York and beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. They finished in a tie. Eckersley couldn't pitch in the game. Mike Torres, who was on the Yankees the year before and won the World Series, begged the manager. I think it was who was the manager back then? I actually met him. Oh, shoot. I'll remember it. But he begged him I want to start. And he goes, I can beat them. And he said, okay, we'll let you start. And he was good for 5 innings. And in the 6th inning, Bucky Dent comes up with a guy on base, breaks his bat, ball goes off his foot, almost breaks his foot. Goes, changes bats. I think he used, was it Reggie's maybe, or Roy White's, one of them. And next pitch, boom, home run, 3-run homer. All of a sudden, it's 3-2 Yankees. And even with that, though, the Red Sox made a comeback. People forget, because what happened was they put men on base, and Reggie doubles, okay? So they're up now. It's like a 5-4 or 5-2 game. So the Red Sox come up in the 8th and they get 2 runs, 5-4. They got 2 men on base. Guy comes up, gets it, hits the ball down the right field line. Lou Piniella is playing right. He can't see the ball, even though the ball's on the ground. He just stuck his glove out, and the damn thing lands in his hand. Okay? So it kept the extra guy from scoring. And the Yankees ended up winning the game because the next guy made an out. Where if that ball hit the ground and got past him, everybody would have scored and the Red Sox would have won. People forget. And even Piniella, I heard him say it. He goes, yeah, I never saw it. It was on the ground. And because that time of year, in October, the sun it's really low. And in Fenway, it ricocheted. And he couldn't see it. He was like this, and he just stuck his glove out. He looked down, and it was in his glove. Don't tell me they're not lucky, even back then. Don't tell me they're not, because they are.
And can't argue that point with that one.
No.
But they still won it all.
Yeah, but Eckersley, and that's another, but you know what? Eckersley would have beaten him. He beat them. He was 4-0 against them. And he was 20-2.
Coulda, shoulda. Didn't happen.
Yeah, I know. He won the Cy Young. I think he led the league in ERA too. He couldn't hit it. And back then they didn't take pitchers out, so the Yankees wouldn't have lucked out like now. You know what I'm saying? Especially the Red Sox, they wouldn't have took him out. They hate the Yanks. But no, I know that if Eckersley pitched, they would have won. But the Red Sox fell behind. They were 1 game behind. They had to win that game the day before and hope the Yankees lost, which they did.
So what else besides the commissioner basically dictating to those teams that they need to let up on the gas to bring it close? What else happened to lead to the victory?
Well, how about the fact that the Yankees were down 14 games at the All-Star game? And Warner Wolf would come on, and he would say it every night. He goes, "Oh, they got to win," and he said, and that's if Boston plays 500. The Yankees have to win almost every single game. But Boston was really good, so they weren't going to play 500, right? No, of course. What do? They play under 500 the rest of the year, and they catch them. And they were a great team. They had a great team. Don Zimmer was the coach, by the way, because Torres has Zimmer. And I met Don Zimmer before he died. He sat with me and my nephews. He was palming their heads at Yankee Stadium because we were on the field. Because he ended up a Yankee coach years later.
That's right.
Yeah. Don't you remember when Pedro
he was on
beat
some
him up?
World Series teams?
Yeah, that's right. Don't you remember when Pedro beat him up and knocked the helmet off him?
That was wild. Yeah, that was right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Red Sox and Yankees, rough.
Yeah, there's nothing like
brutal.
It. But you know what? I was still mad about that because I still remember it. That was the Red Sox year. They were the best team. The Yankees shouldn't have won 77 or 78. And I'll tell you why, because in 77, Kansas City was the best team. Al Cowens and Hal McRae hit one. They were, if the game, weirdly enough, if the game was at Yankee Stadium, they would have won. They would have won that series because they hit two shots that were into power. It would have been over the left field wall. But back then, Kansas City had a really deep area where they hit it, and the damn thing was caught right at the fence with the men on. They would have beat them. They would have beat them. And they should have beat them the one year because they put Paul Splittorff, who couldn't, and Larry Gora were the two pitchers, two lefties. The Yankees couldn't hit them. So what the Yankees decide, or the Yankees are actually losing in 78 in game 7 by a couple of runs. So Kansas City decides, bottom of the ninth, we're putting our starter and they can't hit. Of all days for him not to have a good 3 outs. Base hit, boom, base hit. Before you know it, the Yankees win the damn game. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't because it's just them. They weren't better either year, and they should have lost both times. They were good, really good, but they weren't good enough. They were better than the Dodgers because they.
So the 2 years that the Yankees won 77, 78, there were other teams that were better.
There were other 77 Royals.
That sounds just like Connecticut.
70, yeah, right. There you go. 78 Red Sox. Absolutely, they were. When they got in the World Series, though, they took the Dodgers and took them in a New York alley and beat the daylights out of them. The Dodgers won the first 2 games in L.A., but lost the next 4. Welcome to our place. You're in the hood now, and we got the bats in our hand. They just beat them like little kids, like a gang member. They just kicked their tail. The Dodgers had no chance, none. That's why when we talked to Mike Scioscia on our other show, remember he said, I go, were you on that team? And he was a rookie. He was young back then, but he didn't really play because Steve Yeager was the catcher because they had co-MVPs. He was one of them that got it. But that was a strike series in 81. That was the only time the Dodgers beat them. In 77 and 8, the Yankees kicked their tail. I remember it. Oh.
Now the Dodgers are back. I mean, they've been solid for a while now.
I know. Well, this year they're a little bit weaker. You know why? Yeah. You know why they did it? I told my brother because when in 87 and 88, and if you remember, Mike Scioscia said he thought the 86 team was better. Remember, because I said to him, I think that was better because I agree with you. Here's what happened. Here's what the Mets did wrong. In 86, we had everything. And Mike said that. But in 87, we started tweaking things. Not majorly. We just got rid of, Cameron off the bench, Kevin Mitchell, all these guys that were clutch. And we replaced them with Kevin McReynolds, the loser from San Diego with the big numbers, but he had no heart. He never won anything big in his life. When you start tweaking your bench, you start collapsing from within. It's almost like you're breaking down the building. You're just taking one brick out at a time. And it's getting weaker and weaker. This year, the Dodgers got rid of a lot of their bench players. They went to Chicago last week to the Cubs. My brother goes, they're going to sweep the Cubs. I go, no, the Cubs are going to sweep them. He goes, you think so? I go, I know so. And weirdly enough, 2 games, boom, first 2 games. Cubs beat them. 3rd game, Dodgers were winning. Jock Peterson, the hero of the World Series, comes up, who's now playing with the Cubs, smacks a home run, flips the bat, and goes, yeah, that's 3. We won. You cannot do it. These guys are clutch. They may not be big names, but they're clutch.
Who cares about a name if you're winning?
That's right. But you know what? You have to have good guys up. And Mitchell Butler told us that. Remember what he said about the coaches? Good coaches coach the 5 to the 12 guys, right? Or the 6 to the 12, whatever it was. The first 5 guys are great. You don't got to worry about those guys, the starters. It's the other guys. Those other guys were great on the Mets at the time. And Davey Johnson was a great coach. They started tweaking and getting rid. You don't think it's a big deal when you're doing it. Like, we just made a minor trade. When you got a World Series team, there ain't no minor trade. That's the team that won it for you. That's what people don't get. And that's what the Dodgers are having a problem with now. I still think they're good enough. They're going to make a comeback. It's really early. But the Giants are playing out of their minds. I don't even know apparently they're pitching really well. And the Padres are trying because that owner's like little Steinbrenner. He's just bringing people in. He's dishing out money. I just don't know if they're good enough to do it. Machado has no heart. I hope he didn't hear that.
So Arizona's in the hunt.
Everybody's in the hunt right now, Rob, because no one's that good. The Mets are in first place. They're barely over 500 in their division. The only teams that are really starting to pull away are the Cardinals, okay, and the Red Sox.
The Cardinals are such a good franchise.
Oh, no, they're great.
For so long, too.
Oh, I know. They're a pain in my neck. They were in the Mets division in the 80s. And, like back then there was no wild cards. So you had to win the division to make the playoffs. If it was now, the Mets would have won more than once because they would have finished on the 2 years, 85 and 7 that the Cardinals won the division. The Mets would have been the wild card. So they would have been in and just beat them in the playoff. One of those two they would have. They were too good. But the Cardinals, first of all, they're the only team that has double-digit World Series wins. They're the only team that's beaten the Yankees in the World Series more than the Yankees have beaten them. They do it without a big payroll, and they're so well run. In a lot of ways, they're more dominant than the Yankees because they don't have the money, and they're still right there. They're amazing. They're amazing.
It's a well-oiled machine.
It's a well-oiled machine. I don't know how they do it. Sometimes they amaze me.
I don't know either. It's just there they are, the Cardinals.
There they are all the time. I just see a Cardinal winning on outside of my branch on the track. It's their year.
It's letting you know. Let me know.
We're
Cardinals.
Here. Yeah,
there they are.
There they are. But and it's funny that the Red Sox and the Cardinals are taking off because they've had a long history playing each other. They played each other in '67. Went down to seventh game. Bob Gibson beat Jim Longboard.
Yeah, good series too.
Yeah, great series. They played each other in 1946. Darn things, game 7, game's tied in game 7. The Cardinals go bottom of the ninth. There's a guy on first with 2 outs. Guy gets a base hit. The guy on first never stops running. Comes all the way around, gets the game-winning run, wins the World Series, slides at the plate. That's how it ended. And a couple of years back, the Red Sox finally got the Red Sox broke the curse with them in 2004. They beat them 4 straight. So when they finally knocked the Yankees off, but they've had a long history of playing each other.
But didn't the Red Sox play the Cardinals even more recently than that?
I think it was 2013 when they beat them.
They beat them again. Yeah, they played them again.
That was the year. That was the Connecticut year when they weren't supposed to win. The UConn
Connecticut was 2014, but we won't talk.
That's awful close, isn't it, Ron?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Ugh.
But no, but they've had a history of playing in the World Series before. It goes way back. I want to say, in 1934, the Tigers played the Cardinals because I used to have those World Series cards, and the Cardinal little baseball. It's a cartoon card and has on the back each game who won the World Series and a little, update on how it went. And, you see the Cardinal guy like this and the Tiger. It's a tiger screaming, and he's tying his tail in knots. He's like, it's really funny. But that's how I remember it. That's how I learned who won what year. I'm going to bring those cards on and show them one day. They're amazing. I still got them, But
did the Cardinals win it with Mark McGwire when he was there?
I
can't remember.
I don't. In 06, they won. I don't know if Mark was there.
Yeah, 06. That's right. They did.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark was there. They won it with Keith Hernandez. And that was in 83. Let's see. I'm going to say no, Rob. But unless Mark was there, maybe Mark was there.
Can't remember.
Yeah, he might have been because, in the late 90s, McGwire was still on Oakland. So, yeah, he might have been. That could be, yeah. I'm going to say, yeah, maybe. That's possible. We can look that up.
So, definitely keep your eye out for the Cardinals. They seem to just always be a contender.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah. I'll also keep your eye out for the White Sox because they were the favorites going in to win that division. The Red Sox, you should keep your eye on because they're fun to watch. They're just winning every night. So they're playing. They have a great player, though. JD Martinez is great. I know he didn't have a great year last year, but he was great with Arizona. And I was on the field, and I was told that day on the field, they're not going to keep him or Gold Schmidt. They weren't going to keep either one because they weren't going to pay him. But they had 2 power hitters, And weirdly enough, I think Goldschmidt's on the Cardinals, right? And Martinez is on Boston. So watch out for those guys. And those guys are all hitting. Boston's hitting really well. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been pretty fun. It's fun right now because everybody's close. Nobody's really taking off and running away, which leads to interest. People's going to want to.
No, that
watch
makes it more fun. If
it makes it more fun, yeah.
Yeah, if you can project out, a front runner so early, it's like, okay, well,
right.
No, now the horses can change position here,
right?
Metaphorically speaking. Which, ironically, there's been some drama with the Kentucky Derby, Bob.
Yeah, I guess the whole country's on drugs, including the horses now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bob Baffert. I was glad to see he won. He took the lead in most all-time Kentucky Derbies. I fully anticipate he will win the Triple Crown again, but this is some precarious waters he's treading in here. He's denying the He's denying that he had any knowledge of the doping. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how this all plays out. Right. Medina Spirit, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, has been disqualified.
Right, who my brother was all happy about when he won, but I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it.
I was glad too. I was like, all right, Baffert stands alone, like the announcer said when they won. But now there can't be a Triple Crown winner. It's not possible. The default Derby winner is not racing the Preakness.
He's not.
He's not.
Okay.
Well,
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then the Belmont's the last one in New York, right? Close to where you.
Which live. I was there actually in 2015 when American Pharoah broke the 37-year drought.
Is that right?
That was awesome. That was amazing.
Really.
And that was a Baffert horse. So and the one 3 years later, Justify in 2018, right. Was another Bob Baffert horse. So I do expect him to win another one, but he's got to survive this scandal. This is like I said, precarious for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's saying he doesn't know. I'll give him benefit of the doubt. I mean,
I'll give him benefit of the doubt too. I mean, people kind of think it's just him, but these are multi-million-dollar arrangements here. I mean, they have teams of people, teams loaded with people contending with the horse, working with the horse. So who knows? It is possible that he had no knowledge of this.
Yeah, it is, and behind the scenes, I mean, you don't know who's trying to win and what they're trying to do. So yeah, I mean, this horse really could be drugged out, and maybe he doesn't know. You don't know who's doing it. One thing about, you know what, I'm gonna get in trouble here, but I'll tell this story. Al Capone, he used to be at the track all the time in Chicago, and one day him and his mob were there, and this one guy was trying to bet. And all day long, they noticed him going through the window, losing. So Capone saw it and he felt bad. He goes, tell him to bet on number 2 in the next race. Give him these tickets. So Capone, his men went up and gave him the tickets. Just bet on number 2. What? Just bet 2. So he goes, okay, I'll bet 2. And the winner is number 2.
Number 2.
Boy, oh boy, I wonder how that happened.
No clue. It's
no clue.
Purely coincidence, pure chance.
Absolutely.
Luck of the draw.
Yes.
Good run, horse.
Yes. Yes, I guess all the other horses were tired from all the other winning they did all that.
Yeah.
But that really happened. So, he made a phone call, said, pull the horse back.
Number 2.
You're in. But that's true story though. But I mean, who knows? It's kind of sad. You're right. I mean, it's going to kill the Triple Crown. You can't do it now. So
I know. I was kind of hoping, 3 years apart. 2015 American Pharoah, 2018 Justify. Here we are to 2021, and it's not going to happen.
No, and who knows when it will again, But
yeah, it's amazing that it happened 3 years after the drought broke. So,
right.
Like I said, that was a 37-year drought. I mean, it's really hard to win the Triple Crown.
Well, that's right.
It's only happened 13 times ever since the 1800s.
Right. And did a firm win it in the 70s?
It was a firm before Secretariat won it. Yeah.
Right. In 74, I think.
I can't remember the exact year.
Yeah, and then there was one in 77 that won it. I don't know if it was
I think that
affirmed.
was affirmed. I think you're right.
Yeah. They were big. I mean, my brother's really into the horse racing, and he lets me know about it. He's been to the Derby. He wants to go. He wants to be Junior Bridgman.
I want to go to the Derby too and the Preakness. That way, I've been to all three. I got to go.
He wants to go, and Junior Bridgman has a lot to do with that. The guy we're trying to get on, ex-player, and now he owns every Wendy's on earth. Yeah, he's gonna. They're supposed to meet down there, and they're gonna go eventually.
So we'll see what happens. How about the NBA? What's going on in hoops?
You know what? I know the Nets should win, but I don't know if they will. They've only played together 8 times. I really don't know. LeBron, I'm always worried about LeBron because he stacked that team, and they won the last couple nights, and they're all back. So until LeBron is out, I do not trust them. So I don't want the Lakers being a Celtic fan to win. So, but on paper, the Nets should win. But it's funny. My friend came to me. We were watching the game because they played the Bucks in Milwaukee back to back, which is unheard. That's never happened in history. But this crazy year, everything's different. And I told him, I go, the Bucks are going to beat you twice. And he goes, oh no. I go, oh yeah. And they did. So
who was playing the Bucks? I didn't catch it.
The Nets.
Oh,
my friend's a Nets fan. Yeah, he was out with me. He goes, Bob, if we win these games, because he's trying to catch Philly for the best record. So you know what I did? I do something I do a lot, and I'm really pretty good at it. I went over it with him the last 10 games of the year. I go, let's see who's going to win. And I went, no, Philly's going to win. Right? And he goes, oh, no. I go, you can play the Bucks twice at home? You're going to lose, or on the road, you're going to lose them both. They went to Milwaukee, lost them both. And guess what? Now Philly's going to win the best record in the East. They can't catch them. So...
Yeah, I don't know. I could see the Nets bowing out.
They're still the Nets to me, and we met at a net game years ago. The Nets are the Nets are the Nets.
Yeah,
I mean, they are a joke to me. And I had a friend that was a player, and he was great. I love going, But if they can't win with this team, and they didn't win with Jason Kidd's team, although they were playing Shaq at the time.
They should have never left Long Island. The Nets just stayed there.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. They played on. They were the New York Nets, and then they came. I loved them when they were in the Meadowlands because that was my home away from home. But
played the Coliseum, which your Bruins beat the Islanders in overtime tonight.
Did they?
They did.
I was out, so I didn't say. Okay, that's good. I'm sorry, Rob. But...
That's not good. There's nothing good about that.
Right. But in hockey, I don't. You know what? The best team, I guess, they're saying is Toronto.
It's been a while since the Canadian team has won the cup.
I want to say Toronto hasn't won the cup since 1966. You can look that up. I believe that's correct. But I don't trust it this year because the Canadian teams aren't playing the American because of all the problems they're having in Canada, the crackdowns, which is ridiculous, just ridiculous. It needs to stop. But I mean, what the heck? It's Canada. But I mean. No, like they are the best, and I feel sorry for it. It's just like Toronto not being able to win if they stop the season or whatever because they're finally good, But I believe that's the last time they won it. They won it in '66, and before the last decade, Pittsburgh didn't. Was it Pittsburgh? No, Chicago. They didn't win since '61, and then the last couple of years they've been really good when they battled Pittsburgh. Every other year they'd win, But I don't know. Like, you never know about hockey, though, Rob.
Oh, yeah. Hockey, the 8th seed could sweep the 1 seed. It's still predicting the playoffs.
Right.
It's a crapshoot when they get the playoffs. By the way, I don't know if you know a gentleman, Nick Newman is in the live chat, Bob.
I do know Nick.
Yeah, he says he's basically implying hello.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
So, yeah, I'm sure he heard that. He'll respond if he wants. But feel free to pose a question, Nick.
Yeah, if you want to pose.
We just touched upon the NHL playoffs, talked some baseball. Let's go Rangers. Okay, Nick, you're banned from the show for life. It was nice knowing you. Take care. Best of luck.
You're talking to an Islander fan. And I'm a Bruin fan.
Next thing you know, a UConn fan's going to show up. Then I'm just ending the show instantly. Sorry.
Yes, we're going. Everything's just going black at once. Nobody's going to see us no more. But
yeah,
no. Like hockey playoffs are fun because because you don't have a real home advantage. It's only slight because the goal, you can't score enough so the fans can't get behind you even before the COVID. So you don't know what's coming. I'll give you a good example. Vancouver, and when we won this cup, okay, against Vancouver, we were a great team, but Vancouver was the number one team overall. So what happened? This is a true story. What happened was they win at home. They win at home, so they're up 2-0. Then we win 2 at home, and then I knew it was going to happen. They win at game 5, and then we win game 6. And I said, now we're going to win game 7 because Tim Thomas is going to shut the door on them. We win the game 3-0 in Vancouver in game 7. They burn the city down, which is good. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Vancouver. Who cares? I'll get some matches. But we loved it. And I knew because Tim Thomas was amazing. And
Vancouver was the best team that year, though, right?
They were the best team record-wise. They were the best team. But we were just, you know what? We weren't. It's weird. We were great. It's almost like what Tim Mead said. We were the better team. Remember, he said that about the Angels, even though the
better
Giants,
team,
right? Or the Yankees. But that's what the Bruins were that year. And what brought us together, because we should have won more than one, was Tim Thomas decided to be our goalie, and they benched Tuukka Rask because the year before we played in the playoffs against Philly. We're up 3-0, and then Philly ties it, and then we're up 3-0 or 3-0 in game 7 at home. And we lose 4-3. How ironic is that? And Tuukka did it. He blew it. And we benched him. The next year we had a real goalie and we finished what we started the year before. And then all of a sudden, Tim Thomas, he's a staunch Republican. He hated Obama. Really did. Wouldn't go to the White House when they won. Wouldn't. Which is fine. It's cool. But you know what? He decides to retire, Rob, and we're stuck with Tuukka Rask for 10 years. And the guy is overpaid and he's overrated. He's not that good. And we have not won since. And we will never win as long as he's our goalie. He's trash. And he's classless. He spits on the ice during the interviews. I saw him do it. I am not a big fan of his. Come back, Tim Thomas. I still think you can win us another cup because he's that good. And I kid you not, Rob, I knew we were going to go to Vancouver and win that game. We did, even though they were the best team in hockey that year. And we did.
You did. Now,
yes.
Nick also has added that how do you think they will do in the playoffs? Rangers, Yankees, Jets.
He's
Rangers,
a Jet fan. Oh, he loves the Jets.
Playoffs. And Yankees, you think the Yankees will do anything? Would you think they'll make the playoffs, Bob?
I don't know if the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. Of course, Yankee luck is no one is all that good this year. They're right in the race. But if the Red Sox can keep winning, and the key is Toronto, because Toronto can out-hit the Yankees. If they can stay ahead of the Yankees and win enough games, Springer's going to come back. He hasn't played the whole year yet. They need to pick up some pitching before the deadline. If they can do that, they can keep the Yankees back because they're not going to let those other extra teams in this year like they did last year. You got to be in the top 2 or you're not making it. And that's what he wants to know about the Rangers.
Rangers aren't even in the playoffs.
Are they in it?
No.
So I guess that means you're not going to win it, right?
Not this year.
No. The Jets, I like the picks. I know you don't, Rob. The Jets
aren't making the playoffs either, Bob. Let's be real.
No, I didn't say make the playoffs. I'm just going over it. We'll discuss it. Hold on. I love the picks. I think they'll be better. I think they'll give Miami a run. But the thing is, I think the top 3 teams now are Kansas City, Buffalo, and now Cleveland. I think Cleveland's moved up. They did a great job with the defense and the drafting. I do like Zach Wilson, and you did help your offense. I don't know if you got a good enough running back, but and defense, I don't know. I still think you're going to be better than you were. What did you win? 3 games last year, 4 games, whatever it was. But you're going to do better than that. But you have to worry about Miami and you have to worry about Buffalo. And they're not, especially Buffalo. So, and Miami's no slouch. I mean, they did address some issues. They did address they got a wide receiver that can catch. And, they upped their line, their offensive line, and they helped themselves on D a little. And they're going to try to protect too. Look, I'm hearing that you might get Deshaun Watson if he skips jail somehow and gets out of all that. And he might, because it's not a criminal thing. It's not. It's just people want money. The girls want money. So they're suing him. But he's not going to jail. So if you get him, Rob, And if you get him two, will sit, and you guys will be really good. You'll be really.
I'll take Watson all day.
Yeah.
Nick predicts that the Jets will go 10-7.
But 10-7 won't. Okay, that's fine. But 10-7 will it make the playoffs? When you got other teams in that are really good, I don't know. See, you're going to finish behind the other two, I think.
I mean, 7-10 seems a bit more realistic.
Rob, you
Just
know
being
what?
honest.
I think they could be closer to 500. I don't think they're as bad as they played last year, and they've got a much better quarterback now. I mean, look,
I know you don't.
I do. Rob, I'm telling you.
How do you know? He played for
I know.
BYU in a nothing conference. I mean, against nobody.
Look,
1 year he got all hyped.
Here's why I know.
Great,
Rob, here's why I know, because they had a terrible quarterback last year. Anything's better than what they had.
No argument there.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be much better. And the thing about the Jets, like, they're weird. Like, they don't always have bad years. There's years when they're really formidable, but where they take the hope away from their fans is the next year, because you think, now we're turning the corner, we're ready, and then they go, back in the cellar. So, I mean, that's what the Jets do. And last year they were in the cellar. I think they're going to be a lot better. They're going to come out a little bit. I do think that.
When was that Sanchez run? They lost the Steelers in the AFC title, right? That was their best shot. That's their best shot in the past 25 years. I mean, 40 years probably.
Maybe. I would have to think about that.
They were good, that team. They beat the Patriots on the road, right? And then they went and they lost to the Steelers in the AFC Championship. And that was a really good Jet team. That's the best Jet team I've seen.
Well, Rob, I've
ever seen.
Well, the Jets were really good when they had Freeman McNeil and Al Toon and Wesley Walker.
Oh, Al Toon, yeah, he was good.
Yeah, though they all were good. But the thing was, they were behind the Bills. They had Jim Kelly and those guys. They couldn't do nothing. And there was Elway in that conference at the time, and Warren Moon was in that conference at the time. So it was really hard for them. But and Kenny O'Brien was a solid quarterback. I heard people on ESPN saying he wasn't that good. Well, you know what? That's nice, but you're 10 years old and you don't remember it. So, like, how would you know that? And he was really good. And you know what, too? I saw the other night they were ripping on Mel Kiper. I was watching a thing where how he wormed his way into the business, suckered ESPN as an expert, didn't really know anything about football, and he's been wrong about a lot of picks through the years. It was an interesting. I was watching the YouTube show about him. It was pretty interesting, really.
So YouTube, Mel Kiper gets ripped.
Oh, he got ripped terribly, which I think is hysterical. Because remember our first show? What's the first thing I said on our early show? I go, the first thing you have to realize is there's no such thing as an expert. So don't believe anything they're telling you over there at ESPN. Did I not say that?
You did, Bob. He also said, Nick says he trusts Joe Douglas and Roberts. And then he has another question.
Yeah.
So, and that was.
And he does know some players, by the way, Nick. He knows a wide receiver. I believe so, anyway.
He says, how do you feel about Tim Tebow?
He shouldn't have tried to be a quarterback. He should have stayed a wide receiver or a defensive back. Weirdly enough, though, even though he did win big games. He beat the number 1 seed Denver when he was, what was it?
He played for Denver.
Oh, he played for Denver. He beat somebody.
Yeah, they won that playoff game.
They did win that playoff game. Oh, that was a Dallas. No, it wasn't Dallas. Who was it?
I can't
remember who it was. But that team was higher seed than them, and they weren't favored to win. And weirdly enough, he did win. But I just think he wasn't meant to be a quarterback in the pros. He's not built that way. You think
anything's gonna happen with this potential comeback with the Jags?
No. He may stay on special teams, or I don't think he'll be a quarterback. They just drafted their franchise quarterback, so Lawrence. So I think that maybe I would try him at wide receiver or defensive back. I would. If you want to make him a fourth string, maybe, but I don't think so. No, and he's not young anymore. He's been around a while.
Yeah, exactly. He's like 33 now.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, no spring chicken when it comes to the NFL.
No, in a league where you're lucky to get in your early 30s, and a lot of players don't. So, but I don't know. Look, he prays a lot, so anything's possible with him. But I don't know.
That's it. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen this season. We don't know what's going to happen with the playoffs. We'll just have to see what happens. But I think that'll be all for tonight, Bob. Any closing thoughts to share with Nick and the audience before we go?
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening, and please keep doing it. And we have a couple guests on this week. Definitely on Friday we do. And I'm calling more. And I just got a message today from Nigel Miguel, and he's coordinating the big show in the summer. And yes, we are very, very hopeful. It's looking good that Michael Jordan's going to be on the show. So that's what I'm telling you now. So please subscribe and tell everybody to do the same. We need subscriptions.
Share and subscribe. More stars are coming
Yes.
soon.
Yep.
Right here on the Sports Show with Bob Spino.